As a school administrator, there's a decision that you may need to make, and my team and I walk through this with schools every day. I want to share this conversation with you because I think it might make your life a little bit easier. When you're trying to solve a problem for your school or teach a new concept, a lot of times you're choosing between one of two camps. Either you're thinking about bringing a speaker to train and teach something in a very entertaining way, or you're purchasing a program. This is often a curriculum, or maybe it's professional development, video training. And I see a lot of people get really stuck of which one do I choose? So let's talk through the pros and cons, and then I'm going to tell you what we advise people to do. After 15 years in business, over 3,000 schools, and over 1 million people trained face-to-face. Let's dive in, shall we? So a lot of times when people are trying to solve a problem, they turn to a speaker. And here's why. They're thinking, well, if I bring in an expert or a specialist, they can address this in a way that's really entertaining. I want this to be memorable. I want it to be unforgettable. And I know if I bring in a specialist or an expert, and not just someone who's like, Joe Blow motivational down the street, if I bring in an expert on this, it'll really help my team to lean in and to buy in. And honestly, that's very true. But there's also some problems with this. Most of the time, if you're bringing in a speaker, they have to fly to you, right? So they're traveling from across the country. Maybe you're bringing someone from across the world if you want to get a little fancy. And travel can have some issues. There can be an issue with getting the person to you. I'll just tell you, in the last year of our company doing work, we have had more travel issues than in the last 14 years of business combined. It's been insane. There's a reason why we're actually doing a majority of our training virtually right now from a state-of-the-art studio, and it's this issue of travel. Okay, so let's say travel goes well, you get the person there. Now what can go wrong? Well, speakers, just like anybody else, they have sick days. There's times where they're not feeling well. They're not on their best, and that can be a little problematic for you, right? If this person is feeling a little green, that's going to be a bad day for you. Maybe they've got a little jet lag, they're a little fuzzy in the brain. That can all cause issues. So even though the product is memorable and this person is probably an expert at what they present, maybe their speech it's likely scripted if they're doing this full time, right? They found what's proven and effective. It's still somewhat inconsistent. So then you might say, well, then maybe I want to go in and maybe I want to get a program instead. I want to buy something that's online, that's on demand, that's available 365. And this is where people kind of pivot, especially if they have a bad experience with a speaker. We'll see them move in this direction. But there's a problem with this. This often isn't quite as entertaining, right? Like there's nothing quite like having someone live with your audience, able to interact in real time and answer questions. This is also DIY. In other words, you've got to log in, you've got to use it. We've all made the mistake of buying a program, having the best of intentions, and then all of a sudden the curriculum is like sitting on a shelf somewhere. You buy it with the best of intentions, but like life happens, right? So how do we ensure that if we buy a program, it actually gets used? Now, the nice thing about a program is it's typically professional and polished. For us, again, we've got a state-of-the-art broadcast studio. And so that's where we're filming all of our lessons, whether it's for staff, students, or parents. That's where we're doing all of our virtual training. It is built for interaction and for engagement, for professionalism first. And we've hired folks in the film industry to build this thing for us and teach us how to run it. It's incredible. And so a program can be extremely polished. It's not going to get jet lag. It's not going to have issues getting to you like an airplane or a rental car with a speaker. But it also requires you to log in and actually use the thing. So there are some pros and cons. You might say, hey, Jeff, dude, just tell me what to buy. Like if my school has a limited budget, right? Here, let's make that green. If my school has a limited budget, what would you advise me to do? Honestly, this is what we say. If you have a limited budget, you can only choose speaker or program. We steer you to purchase program every single time. Now, you might say, hey, aren't you a speaker? Like, are you telling me not to hire you? Yeah, sort of. Here's the problem. 365 is better than one. A speaker is going to come in, and they're typically going to work with you for one day, especially if you're flying them in. That may be all that your budget, if we're going back to budget, allows. What if we had 365 chances at bat instead of just one time? That's better. What we've actually found is more effective is not a one-day training, a one-day in-service, but when it comes to stuff for staff, to 10 minutes once a month playing a video in a staff meeting. That's actually more effective. It's the consistency that creates behavioral change. What about students? Not a once a year assembly, that's not most effective. What's actually most effective is 15 minutes per week all year long. In fact, we've actually seen with our Squabbles program, we've seen an 80% increase in student resilience. Yeah, that's right. 80% increase as a result of 15 minutes per week all school year long. Now, here's a problem. We talked about program, and honestly, if you're going to only make one decision, I would 100% choose a program every time. Like, that's what I would highlight for you and tell you to do. But again, there's that DIY component. What if you want to have your cake and eat it too? What if you're Miley Cyrus and you want the best of both worlds? Then here's what you do. You're welcome, Disney Channel. There's your shout out. You're going to purchase a program, and then you're going to have a speaker introduce it. In other words, you've got the repetitive, you've got the consistent pieces over here, but you're also making sure that you have the expert available to answer questions and introduce it for the first time here. So it's not always one or the other, best case scenario, it's both. Now, again, I don't want to tell you how to do your job, but I can tell you what's working for us and for our clients. At Squabbles Institute, we have something called the Schoolwide Implementation Program. It's a 3-year process where we diagnose really where you're struggling when it comes to aggression and resilience, and then we implement a custom strategy. Here's what this is made up of and why it works. We've seen schools grow like crazy. In fact, in the 10 different categories where they can grow in resilience and see a reduction in aggression, those that are in the Schoolwide Implementation Program, they see actually all of the areas grow after 3 years. It's pretty powerful. Here's the reason why. They're following a program that is strategically designed around their specific needs and goals based on a needs assessment. But more importantly, they're not just left to figure it out on their own with the program or have a one and done speaker. They're doing both. Every time we're introducing a new concept, we're using a speaker, usually virtually, again, to save on cost and offer a little more consistency and quality. They have a speaker that's introducing that concept, helping people with their mindset, teaching a few new skills, and answering questions. Highly interactive, highly memorable. But then there's programmatic elements that are happening in the following month and weeks after. It's all laid out for them. All they have to do is log in, watch it, use it. Lessons plans are handled. Now, I'm not going to go into details as to what this program is. If you're curious, though, I will drop a link in the description below. But if you want to have your cake and eat it too, if you want the best of both worlds, that's what you want to do. A program that offers consistency and a speaker that's effective and memorable. If you can only choose one, I would teach you to and steer you to choose a program every single time. But if you can have both, that is ideal. If you took away some value from this video, if it helped you a little bit, drop a comment below. I would love to hear from you. If you have any questions we can answer, there's also a link below. You can reach out to myself, reach out to the team. We'd love to hear from you that way as well. Until next time, cheers, peace.